Okay, so let's talk about our first topic, which is what happened in the Olympics. Now, this is China's, apparently he's also ranked #1 in the world, according to, he is the top ranked, oops, what did I do? He is the top ranked player in the ITIF world ranking as ping pong player Wang Chuqin. And he recently, so in this Olympics, he failed to make it out of the top 32, so he obviously didn't win gold. And then there's a whole series of drama surrounding him and his paddles being broke. So let's watch this video. So he's accusing this guy of breaking the paddle. Now, I don't know much about in terms of like at the top level of any sports, you know, obviously your equipment is really important. Be this is a badminton racket or a tennis racket or a ping pong paddle. That's totally normal, right? To expect that your equipments are probably custom made. But the excuse he's using now is to say that the reason he didn't get gold is purely because his paddle was broken and he had to use a backup paddle. Okay. So you can see here, this is the paddle. It's broke because what? So I'll show you the picture first. So the paddle here looks oops, something happened. The paddle's broken, obviously, right? It looks like he's pretty frustrated as well that it's broken. He had to basically use a backup paddle. Now, the excuse the Chinese internet is saying is that the backup one is not the same feeling as having the main one that he uses for competition. But from what I understand is that these people, the Chinese athletic team, they get custom-made paddles in batches, right? So they don't just make one paddle, like the one unique one for Wang, and then just expect them to only have to use that one. He's obviously going to have backup paddles in case something happens. Like, for example, maybe during the competition, he trips and falls and the paddle breaks. Something like that could happen. With any ball sport or any racket sport, you're going to expect to have backup rackets, right? That's just in the nature of the sport. Maybe, you know, something happens to the first one, you can't use it. You're going to have to use the backup. So for him to say that everything, right, including his own effort, is pointless or that he's not good enough just because he lost a paddle. And I think that's kind of demeaning to the sport, isn't it? Isn't it about your athlete's athleticism and your abilities, not just based on, you know, which paddle it is? Sure, it matters, but it's probably not going to matter a lot. But obviously, this has triggered a lot of emotion, let's just say, within the Chinese internet space. Okay, so I'm going to show you a video here. Again, this is the exact same player, Wang Chuqin, the ping pong player that was getting mad that his paddle was broken. Okay, so let's watch it. Like his face just looks he's like done with everything, right? As if the sky just fell on him. Everything in the world crashed down on him, okay? So this video, again, is being taken by Chinese internet users because they're saying now, like, look at this. Beyond the foreign reporters deliberately bumped into our athletes. Look at the reporter's face. He deliberately bumped into Wang Chuqin. Do you know how difficult it is for our athletes now? This is the racism in the bones of Westerners, okay? So this is clearly now being used by these pro-CCP nationalists to say that, oh my God, Chinese athletes going to Paris, they're facing discrimination, xenophobia. They're just getting the worst outcome because they're being treated like second-class people. Okay, that's clearly, it's pretty funny to me because here is the second angle of the exact same event. All right, so let's play this. Oh, sorry, my screen kind of went off, so let me replay that. We missed it. Okay, notice what happens here. This lady clearly says sorry to him as she bumps into him, okay? And she's a reporter, she's a camera lady, she's trying to get somewhere. It looks like she was in a hurry. Okay? She was not looking at the athlete, Wang, when she was about to bump into him. She was looking, she had her camera like, look at this. She was just about to, walk into Wang, and then she didn't look, did that. She's like, oh, sorry. And then she immediately leaves because she probably had somewhere to get to. Because, the entire job of being a videographer or a photographer, photojournalist, is to get to the best shot possible. Okay, so obviously, if you look at this angle, there is no racism here. There is no xenophobia here. This was a pure incident, a coincidence that it just happens to be the same guy who didn't make it out of top 32 in ping pong, the national sport of China. That's just absolutely hilarious. Savala says he's just upset he's going to have to work 996. Exactly, yeah. All right, but obviously, internet users in China, they're not going to let this one go. So like you see posts like this, basically they were testing things like what happens if you step on the paddle, how do you break the paddle? And they were using people at the gym who weigh like 200 pounds to try to smash it or break it with their feet. It's really hard to do on a flat surface, by the way, to smash your ping pong paddle. You can break the rubber, obviously, but it's really hard to do it because the board is pretty strong. Like what you have to do is what this guy's doing here is you have to take your hand, you put the feet on the flat part, and then you try to like rip it in half, basically. Okay? And it's pretty hard to do on a flat surface. So if the guy was like, the player had the ping pong paddle in his luggage or somewhere like leaned up against it, yeah, maybe if you, kicked it with a pretty strong downforce, you can break it in half at, the connecting point. But it's pretty hard to do. So then what happens is they start to go on a witch hunt on which reporter at the moment was the one that deliberately caused issues here. Okay, so first they went to, let's see, so this is done. This is done. I'm just trying to remember which video it is. Okay, so it's this one here. All right, so we see that there's this guy. He's bent down while, this is where Wang was at the top right corner here, and this guy is bending down. So internet users are like, okay, this is the guy that we have to find. Who is he? He's the one who broke the paddle. Okay, so that's the guy that broke the paddle. Okay, so this is like just where he put the paddle, basically. And it turns out, so the guy in the red circle is the one that we have to watch out for. So everybody's like trying to chase after the player because, he had just finished the match. Oh, by the way, so in the day prior, before this paddle broke, or the competition that led to this incident is a mixed double. So he won the gold for that, but he missed out on the singles. Okay, so you see this guy here. This is the culprit, or alleged culprit. So they're just pointing an arrow here saying that the guy got on his knees and just broke the paddle. Okay, so that's one angle of this incident. Let's go to the next one. So the guy in the vest, or here, this is the guy that allegedly broke it. By the way, later they found that he's apparently a Korean national who works for Switzerland. All right, you won't believe the turn of event. So we just talked about how it was allegedly a Korean national camera person who stepped on the ping pong paddle of Wang Chuqin, who is the ping pong player. But it turns out that this camera guy might actually be a Chinese journalist who was dispatched to Paris. And because I'm going to show you the photos here, look how similar they look here. And yeah, apparently also this like Lee Korean person is also made up. It's actually a Chinese Douyin vlogger whose name is Lee. And the worst part is the very person that they're saying their name is the Korean reporter is actually the one that captured the other Chinese photojournalist who was allegedly breaking the paddle. And so everybody that's accusing this like made up Lee Korean reporter is actually talking about this nationalistic Douyin vlogger that somehow also captured the very act that they're accusing others of doing. And they're now calling him a traitor too, saying that he's selling out his country.
记者3488。这里注意是王楚钦放下球拍的近景视角，重点记住这个球拍的放置的地点，左边是。
So actually, if you look back here, it looks like the coach moved the paddle before Wang. So Wang puts the paddle down, right? He
这里注意是王楚钦
puts the paddle down, then the coach looks like he
重
moved
点
it.
记住这个球拍的放置的地点。
So if anything, it's the
左边是
coach's
蓝衣服的
fault.
记者，右边是红色衣服拿手机拍的教练员，球拍放在红蓝衣服之间。这里注意看，3488明明可以正前方走过去，但是他犹豫了一下，选择绕后，直接奔着球拍所在的地方去了。注意到左边蓝色衣服记者右边拿手机拍的教练员了吗？这个位置是不是刚好放球拍的位置？再看一下他的眼。
Okay, and then it says, okay, here's the funny part. He says his hand goes down. Let me remove my little thing here. Okay.
眼神和动作，
his hand goes
别的记者
down.
过来都是拍照，他却相机朝下在摸东西。
And then his hand goes down.
再切换到背后视角，他疑似在使劲掰断球拍，而且行为相比于其他记者显得特别怪异，从进人群一直到出来没有举起过相机。我们放大视角看看他的动作，画面看出来球拍就在他脚下，一只手在掰球拍。远景视角不做剪辑，放全程视角。现在韩国记者3488还在人群中，近景视角3488是在最里面的。远景视角现在时间正好是韩国记者3488。
Okay, so basically, they're now blaming this guy the camera guy again for causing him to lose the gold. Okay, all right. So Wang Chuqin is just. This is just really bizarre to me. Do you really think that the guy would deliberately go and break the paddle of some dude after he wins gold? Like, that is just. I don't know what to say. Pretty funny. Tanya Harding was nothing like this. Okay, so, and then something else also happened, right? So with swimming, obviously there was a whole thing with, I'm not allowed to say the word anymore because you can go look up the articles, but Chinese swimming was doing something because I made a video about them doing it, and then YouTube decided that it's not monetizing it's not monetizable. Okay, so basically this guy named Pan Zhanle, he broke a world record in the 100-meter freestyle, beating some of the race favorites like Kyle Chalmers from Australia. And then after the interview, he did this. So this was the interview afterwards. He says that apparently Chalmers, the Australian swimmer, wouldn't shake hands with him prior, and they were just basically disrespecting him. But then, according to Kyle Chalmers, he was like, I find it a bit weird. I gave him a fist bump before the relays, but no issue from my end. So basically, this swimmer, after he wins gold, his first reaction or his first idea is to go to a Chinese media and to tell them that all these other countries' athletes were disrespecting the Chinese athletes, and he won gold, and now it really showed them that we can win, right? And it just turns out nothing really happened. It was all like a big nothing burger. And Chalmers says, from my point of view, I don't have issues. So basically, it was just him being a little playing victim and nothing else. And then also, obviously, this is, you're winning gold, you broke a world record, which is congrats, right? That's really good. He actually broke his own world record from previously by 0.4 seconds. And now people question his world record breaking swim, actually. They're saying that there's no way he swam so fast that there was almost an entire person worth of gap between him and the second, which is Chalmers. And they're saying that there's impossibility here. But obviously, I'm not going to talk about that because that requires some official testing, which, again, I'm not going to mention why. But you know what? And then this swimmer lady here, she's also one of the swimmers who lost gold. She's now, so they were part of that 23 swimmers scandal. Again, if you know what I'm talking about, You could understand, why, because they were caught doing it. But she lost gold. She, I think, got bronze. And now she's saying that, oh yeah, all these people accusing Pun of doing that, they should test Michael Phelps. They should be testing other athletes who's done the impossible before. Test Katie Ledecky, who's been very vocal about this thing, saying that they shouldn't be doing it. And, this is really funny because they're now playing victims. And they're saying that, yeah, we do it through our pure abilities instead of using those things to help us, when in fact, they're the very people who have been found to be using those things. So it's like, if you have a country that's full of problems and you have a group of people who is like, oh yeah, we've been caught doing this, it's very natural for people to think that you're also getting these things achieved because you're doing it, right? This is pretty natural to think. If Neil Armstrong, who's been banned for, had his title stripped away for doing those things, then it's fair to get rid of all his accomplishments because those were done under the support of this thing, right? If Neil Armstrong got found that he lost all of his glories and achievements and titles in the Tour de France, then it's all right to assume that, people like Phelps or Ledecky probably, either they were doing something else that people couldn't catch them in the testing, or they just simply are clean, right? I don't understand this victim mentality here. It's really strange to me. Blame it on Australian beef, exactly. No, I need those anabolic burgers to, I need to eat them. Like, how come in Beijing you can get those anabolic burgers, but apparently in other places, right, where hormones probably a problem, like in the US and stuff, we can't find those anabolic burgers. Okay, yeah, so that's the swimming part, right? That's the first big topic. All right, let's go on to our next topic. This is also related to the Olympics, and this happened, so here, let me give you the context first. So this is a woman who went to the Olympics in Paris holding up a Taiwan-shaped, like the island-shaped banner that says Taiwan add gas, or, go Taiwan. And she was at the Friday event where Taiwan's Olympic double, men's double, are going to the finals against China. So tomorrow, European time, there's going to be a badminton match between Taiwan's double and China's double. So it's going to be the most important match for Taiwan and for China as well. Because imagine if the Chinese athletes lost to Taiwan. That's not a sports scenario anymore. That is a geopolitical, that's a political scenario, okay? So both sides have a lot of pressure on them to win this match. And so you can imagine, like, this Paris Olympics has been the most political in terms of China, that is. And so this was Friday, right? So this was where this happened. Okay, so on Friday, they saw this banner basically it was a towel that said Taiwan. Now, obviously, you probably know this. The IOC does not think Taiwan is an independent country because when you go tour, the athletes, like at the opening ceremony, it's called China Taipei. Hong Kong is called China Hong Kong, China Macau, right? So they don't consider Taiwan to be an actual country. But the problem is you cannot even have a towel. There's no Taiwan flag here. There's not even the Taiwanese flag. It's a towel that's green. It says Taiwan on it. And the worker decided to confiscate it. So that's an Olympic worker. He is part of the organization, which is Paris Olympics Organizing Committee. And it's probably clear that ahead of this, the CCP has negotiated with Paris, with France, with the Olympics for this type of stuff to be not allowed, right? So if anybody tries to demonstrate Taiwan or things like that, it's going to get taken away. So that is the first part of the incident. this video here. And then the girl, which she was holding that Taiwanese banner, she also has one here. And that's the same guy that just took away that other banner. And then the guy in the red cap comes to block her from getting audience. So yeah, that happened. This is not even again, it's not a Taiwanese flag. It's just a banner that says Taiwan, go Taiwan. Okay, because they were at an athletic event, the badminton match of Taiwanese men's double, and they're not even allowed to do that. That's apparently too political for the Chinese nationalists. So this guy, he was in the audience, he was watching this, and he decided to show his loyalty to the country by doing this act here of blocking the woman. That's like saying you're not allowed to have, to show support for the place that you have your athletes competing at, which is pretty crazy to me. Okay. So yeah, basically there's just different perspectives on what happened. They have these like Chinese. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go find technical difficulties and solve them for what just happened. But yeah, so this happened. That's why I said the entirety of this is gonna come down tomorrow. If Taiwan's men's double wins, then it's gonna be a big, it's gonna be a brain-frying moment for the Chinese internet users. And if China wins, they're gonna be like, oh look, we defeated Taiwan. We're the best. We're gonna overpower them. Blah 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 blah. So it's turning into a geopolitical badminton match, which is hilarious, but also sad and pretty. I'm pretty, sad. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's this thing here. I don't know why it keeps flashing. All right. Yeah, so I basically just found a bunch of link of that exact scenario playing. So now Taiwan has responded. They're condemning what happened of obviously the tearing up of the banners at the badminton venue. But really, realistically, I don't think there's anything that they can do other than just, protest. So Taiwan says here, Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned the tearing up of a let's see here. Why is it not moving? Okay, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has condemned the tearing up of a spectator's banner reading Taiwan Go For It by another spectator at the badminton venue at the Paris Olympics during competition on Friday. Taiwanese spectator who was holding the sign posted a video on Facebook showing a man taking her green sign, tearing it in half, and the man being dragged out of the arena by security. Two Reuters journalists saw the spectator being bodily removed up a staircase shouting while Taiwanese Shou Chen was playing. Taiwan competes at the Olympics as Chinese Taipei to avoid objections from China, which claims the democratic governed island as its own territory. Taiwan's government rejects China's sovereignty claims. Green, the color of Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party, is used by people who support Taiwan's separate identity from China and often Taiwan's independence. So that could be not the justification, obviously, as to why that little pink did what he did. But yeah, that's the story. Government trying to get into your computer. Yeah, I think this is just a technical error. I wish I can blame it on the CCP doing that. Is that Newton Lung from St. Pancras Station? It's the French Newton Lung. Like, I don't know, what's a French name? C-word? Or Jean-Philippe Lung from Paris. Like, this Paris Olympics is just crazy bad this year. I don't understand why Paris is doing this. Like, they're caving to the CCP. But obviously that's not just an issue with Paris, it's the entire IOC, right? The International Olympic Committee.